Criff, 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 Criff!
What are you doing?
Something happened? Something's wrong!
No, I got that. I mean, what are you yelling?
Oh, I was cursing, sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry.
You were just cursing in Star Wars lingo.
No, I wasn't. I was... Sting! I was. Whatever. I gotta fix this.
Is that,
Yes. It's a carbonite freezer.
Seriously? Where did you get that?
Okay, so you know how Virgin started the podcast a year ago?
Yeah?
Well, I tried to find him a good gift to get him for the 1-year anniversary, so I ordered this prop.
That doesn't look like a prop.
I know! I didn't know it was real until I got it here, and I didn't know there was someone frozen in it until 2 days ago.
There's someone in there?
Well, not for long. I just turned it on and started thawing.
Oh boy.
I'm free after all this time.
Virgin?
I can't see you. I think I have hibernation sickness, but I'm not Virgin. I have been trapped in this prison, frozen away from time to forget for 5 whole years. Regimes have risen and fallen in my absence. I am the Outlander.
Get a hold of yourself, man!
Virgin, I know you can't see us, but it's Saya and Lariel. You know, the Remnants of Hope. Our Hope cast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just been gone for so long.
It's been a year, not 5.
Impossible.
I bought this for you as a gift when you started the Hopecast a year ago. I've only had it for a year.
Oh, yes, the Hopecast. I must start that. I have to edit for the weekend. It's our debut episode. Wait. Did you say a year?
Yeah.
Did we not do the Hopecast for a whole year?
No, we did. I'm pretty great, too. I mean, it's pretty great. I mean, us as a team. The show!
You did the show without me? Now you listen here. I can't see a lick, but if I could, I would beat your criffin heads with the back end of a hut.
Whoa! What's with all the yelling? And why is Virgin walking around like he can't see?
You're not gonna question the carbonite chamber?
No. Why would I? That thing's been here for a year.
How did you know that?
Yeah, I hid it down here in the boiler room so no one would find it.
Boiler room? You guys told me this was my office. I've been working out of here for a year.
Who told you that?
That's obviously not important. Moving on.
Yeah, what is important is that you guys did my show without me for a year. Now, how could you let them do that?
What are you talking about? You've been doing the show with them.
No, I've been frozen in carbonite.
And who's been doing the show with us?
Guys, I know who can help us. He's our only hope. Follow me.
Hey, Saya?
Mm-hmm.
Can you stay back for a minute?
Yeah, what's up?
Listen, earlier about the whole me thinking I'm the Outlander thing.
Yeah?
Could you maybe get the others to drop it and not really spread around?
Sure thing.
Thanks.
No problem, Outlander.
Hey, come on!
He's our only hope? Really?
Yes, now please, let the man do his work. Colt!
What? Hold on 1 second. Oh, right, the issue. Yeah, I looked into it. It's quite simple, really.
It is?
Yes, please enlighten us.
Your issue is that Virgin here has been frozen in carbonite for a year, but Virgin has also been hosting the Hopecast at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really simple, actually. We kill the Batman.
Yep, there it is.
Oh boy.
No, come on, Colty.
You're right. I'm sorry. Really sorry. Couldn't resist there. The real issue here is actually pretty simple still. Force shenanigans.
You've got to be kidding me.
No. Look, I've seen this before.
You have? Have you seen
Yeah.
everything?
I have seen everything.
Great. Except the Force isn't real.
Well, maybe, maybe not, but maybe yes. Let's see, 2 Virigens, a real-life carbonite chamber. Has anyone else experienced any Star Wars-related things? Illusions of grandeur, maybe. I know I have.
Nope. No illusions here. Just regular, plain old hibernation sickness.
Think about it now. Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Hey, Kota.
No! That's impossible! Ah! What? Oh, Hey, Aravail.
What you doing?
Oh, just working on the skit for the Hopecast. Virgin asked me to help him out, so...
Oh, cool. Can I read it?
Oh, yeah, sure. Here you go.
Oh, you nailed Colt.
Ayo! I mean, yeah, thanks.
So, how does it end?
Well, I think I'm gonna try and break the fourth wall. You know, like pit the characters against the writer.
Oh, like an unfair but undeniable power struggle.
Exactly.
So, eventually they're all going to find out that they were being messed with by the writer?
Yep.
They're probably going to be pretty mad when they eventually find out.
Ah, well. What are you gonna do, right?
Hey, Kota.
We've got a little bone to pick with you.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Light from a few can be a beacon to many. Welcome to Star Wars Hopecast.
Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Hopecast, a Star Wars, the Old Republic podcast. And today we are recording our 1-year anniversary episode. Who'd have thought it? So to have a little fun, we've asked some of our previous guests to join us. So with that, I'm Virgin.
And I'm Saya.
And I'm Laurie.
And I'm Aravail.
And I'm Colt.
We got the panel of 5 today for our 1-year anniversary show. We started the show on October 16th, 2014 was the very first episode of the Star Wars Hopecast, and it only seems appropriate that at Sweet 16 episode, not quite one every 2 weeks, we get our 1-year anniversary. And so the show's going to be a little bit different, as you may have already noticed, with the skit that came out first thing in place of our Coruscant Courier service. So today we're going to talk about some of what we've seen in the new expansion, some of the things we've seen from the past that we really care about, and just have a little bit of a roundtable discussion. So let's first start with the thing on everyone's mind, and that is Knights of the Fallen Empire. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Saya, let's start with you.
A swing and a hit for the story for me. It was really fantastic to be able to watch my main character that I've been playing with for 4 years to go through such a cinematic storyline. The characters are also interesting in it, all the family members of the royal line and all these new returning companions like Koth and Lana, seeing them in their newfound graphical glory was great, and I absolutely loved it. But I had a lot of misses for the rest of the stuff. I didn't realize how much I'd miss it, but I was really sad there was no new raids. I didn't realize how much my time and interest was spent around focusing on new raids when they came out with new expansions. I'd be like, oh, I need a craft to make new augments so I can eventually get the new Harmo raids, and every Tuesday and Thursday I'm going to get to do the story mode, and we're going to focus on a new boss for like 2 months at a time, but then we'll get to see something new, and there's not any of that in this expansion. Really kind of bummed about it. And the alliance system seems to be a really very vast system that you can dive into and spend a lot of time on, but none of it really interested me. I guess it was probably those new types of cutscenes where I don't get to see my character anymore, see them talk or hear them talk. And my other big thing I get excited about for in the new expansion, sillily enough, is the armor and And then nothing really excited me. I like stuff like, I want my trooper stuff to look like trooper stuff and my Jedi stuff to look like Jedi stuff. And all of this stuff seems like it was just scrounged up from what they could find to make an armor for someone who's living in the post-apocalyptic world of Star Wars. Some of it's cool, but none of it is like, oh, I need to do raids and flashpoints so I can get that and be happy. So, yes to the story. Miss for the rest for me.
Well, and they did say that this expansion was big on story, so at least they've hit the mark there. But you do bring up a lot of valid arguments I've heard a lot of people mentioning. Aravail, how about your impressions from Coffee? What do you feel like is the good, what is the bad, what is the I'm kind of ambivalent?
On the whole, I'm kind of in the same boat as Sai. I really enjoyed the story. It was a lot of fun. I played it through twice, actually playing it through, and I did it twice more, just spacebarring through it. That's kind of one of the issues I had with it, is that it was great, but it only lasted like 6 hours and then it was over, and there just wasn't a ton of replayability. You do the light side, you do the dark side, and then that's kind of it. So I'm looking forward to the new chapters, but now we have to wait until a brand new year for those even to come out. Let's see what else was there. Again, like Saya said, there was no new war zones, no new arenas, no new operations, so that's kind of sad. I like that they increased the level cap of all the previous content. It's been a lot of fun redoing all of those again, but hopefully sometime in the near future they'll actually add new operations and new war zones, because we've been playing the same old ones for quite some time now. I do actually kind of disagree about the armor a little bit. I was looking through the other day and I realized that some of the default like vendor armor from the PvP and PvE vendors is actually pretty cool looking, and I made 2 new outfits with that, so that was kind of a pleasant surprise. That even the default shells that I grabbed, I took the mods out and threw them in my cargo bay, I later realized were actually pretty cool looking. And then other than that, the other thing I liked was a lot of little like quality of life stuff, like the random mount and the keybinds you can now load, and they made gearing a little bit easier. So that kind of stuff was nice. Nothing huge, but little things like that make the game a little bit nicer to play.
All right, and I'm kind of with you on the armor. I'm actually kind of like both of you. Some of the armor looks like poop, and some of the armor looks amazing. I don't know what the difference is. Actually, I know what the difference is. I think part of it is just the way that they did the patterns, I suppose. Laurie, how about your experience in Knights of the Fallen Empire? What are you looking at today?
I really, really liked the story. I liked being able to revisit my character again. I liked that Theron came back again, because we all know how much I love Theron. So it's a hit for the story, but as far as, like, the new cutscenes or the dialogue stuff, like, I get that they were trying to, like, go back to, like, Knights of the Old Republic KOTOR thing, but it's just not doing it for me. Like, I miss the fully voice acted, I miss hearing my character, like, speak the reactions that I give. Like, I understand that they're giving more dialogue options, but at the same time, like, I don't like how it's, so, like, they talk, and then you just sit there in silence after you click, like, this little sentence that you supposedly said. So.
And L'Oreal, how do you feel about the idea that the reason they decided to choose that type of system for the dialogue where you get to hear the NPC talk but not you is because it costs a lot less, because they'd have to voice your character 8 times per class and then times 2 more per gender? Do you feel like you'd rather just not have them at all, or is it okay without it?
I'm kind of like on the fence with that, because part of me wishes that, if they're not going to do any voice acting, they'd just better off not do any voice acting at all. So it doesn't feel so, like, one-sided. So, like, you have, like, this awesome cutscene with, like, the Hutt talking to you, and then you click a button and your character just sits there with, like, this stupid look on their face while you're supposedly saying this, like, sentence. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I like it somewhat, but I would just rather not have voice acting at all than have what they have on this, I guess. So, I don't know. And the only other thing that I have to say about this expansion is Laurie has found a new NPC crush. Love. I'm in love with Prince Arkin. I think he's amazing.
Did you say burn face Prince Arkin?
Without like half of his
What
body
about
parts.
him? What about him appeals to you, L'Oreal?
God, that make me sick.
The one eye
Is it
he
his
has left.
beautiful golden eyes? Is it his money and his
singular.
power? Is it his deep, commanding voice?
Is
That
this
mask really
crazy
helps.
sister?
It's the crazy sister. It does it for me.
I love the fact that she doesn't like odd numbers. It does give me a thing for the sister.
Oh, I love the
will
sister.
say that.
I love the sister.
All right, so okay, we will call 1-800-SWOTOR-LOVE and see what that is. That's good though. I'm glad you like the story. It seems that's the one thing. It seems like everyone's enjoying the story, but it does seem like we're just missing a lot of other things in the process. Colt, come on, tell us what you're thinking about Knights of the Fallen Empire.
As long with everybody, the story's a hit. I mean, it's epic, it's engaging, it's cinematic. I mean, the fight scenes in particular, it looks like they actually got choreographed finally for like the lightsaber duels and stuff.
Like the fight, yeah,
I mean,
that
there's
was
a
so cool to
total-
watch.
There's a total difference between what it was until now and some of the lightsaber duels in Kotfi. Just how they were choreographed, how they looked. I mean, the style was really good.
Because, like, before, the lightsabers were like, ha! I will hit you with my lightsaber! Camera pans to a different part of the room, and you hear, kshar! And then, like, in Coffee, it's like, ba ba da ba 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 da da.
It's kind of like I kind of associate with this. If you take the lightsaber fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in Star Wars, as what SWTOR used to be, and if you take the lightsaber fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith,
Right.
that's what the new
It's
content's
very-
like.
It's really very true. Besides that, I have to give them a miss for they broke Lobie Bolster again. Right now, I don't even know if I want to say this because people will do it, but apparently like 78 level mods are like really OP for Lobies. They have 10k more health than my full min-max Dark Reaver in mid-base, which is kind of silly. I really like the alliance system and the new companions. Hot Lana is a great change that they made, very key. Being able to use all your companions for all the roles and not worrying about gearing them is like a really great change. Because I know a lot of people never really geared their companions and only used their healer and things like that. So to be able to use all the companions and not really worry about it is a good change just to keep things fresh. A miss, again, no new content for PvE and PvP. I mean, as fun as it is to do some of the old raids again, I mean, I really loved EV and KP when they first came out. So it's kind of nice to be able to play them again and have them actually be a challenge, but they need a new raid or some new flashpoints that aren't the Star Fortress stuff. And come on, it's been like a year and a half. You need a Warzone. Like seriously, come on. Besides that, I hinted on it, but kind of a miss on the Star Fortress stuff. Going through that quest chain the first time was actually pretty enjoyable. I did it on Alderaan the first time through, and it was fun, and I enjoyed doing it and working with the companion, doing some of the heroics. But seeing I have to do it, I think 5 more times, no, just not fun. I mean, if you do it once, it would be good, but 6 times doing the same kind of quest and having the same flashpoint at the end with just reskin bosses is not my idea of exclusive, exciting content. And about the armor, I'm kind of meh about it. There's some good stuff, there's some pretty bad stuff, and there's a lot of reskins of old armor. I mean, the reskins are kind of nice in that if it was a class exclusive piece, now you can get it on everybody, but also shows kind of laziness on the part of development, so I'm pretty meh on the armor. And that's about what I've thought so far.
Nice. And as from my point of view, I'm gonna have to echo everyone else with that story. The story really is good. I mean, they went back and really, in my opinion, I played Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 before the expansion came out. Thank you, Aravail, for putting it up on your channel for me to watch and get inspired. I have not watched your Dragon Age Origin yet because I'm about to play it.
Yeah, I interrupted Dragon Age 2 just to play Kotfi, and I haven't gone back since. So that's a compliment in many ways to SWTOR.
And it is. It really felt good to just have a really good story. I did on my main, Virgin, and I've done it on my Imperial main, Kamek. I feel no desire to do on anyone else. I have 8 characters, which I'm really glad I finished the 8 class stories, because if I was, really OCD, that legendary icon on the login screen would make me crazy, because you would see the little blackouts and the parts. I was like, oh.
See, I finished it when it was still hard to do, and now it's like I feel less special about it now that they made it easy to do it.
Oh, you're still special.
Oh,
Cole.
thanks.
You'll always be special, Colt.
Thanks, guys.
Special, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. And I actually do want to do a couple of. I actually am excited about. I want to say a big hit on what they've done with companions and leveling. I really want to level another couple of characters from scratch and see how it acts and see what it does. I was a subscriber, so I got Nico Okar as a companion. You can unlock him at level 1. I wonder what's going to be like to have a companion at level 1.
Oh, wow.
To
Yeah, I guess
level
so,
with.
huh? I never thought about that.
I didn't know that. I might have to try.
Straight up on
that just for
Tython.
fun and see what happens.
Yeah, just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
I've never had the desire to do the leveling content on another character
Well, couldn't
until
you get-
now. I think I'm gonna do.
Well, couldn't you get HK or Treek at level 1? I don't remember.
I imagine you could,
Well,
right?
yes, if you.
Yeah, but the gear, you couldn't really get them gear because it
Oh
didn't
no,
work.
you couldn't. You,
Right.
you
No.
can't get Treek at level 1 because you have to get to the fleet. Even if you have the unlock,
that's right.
you have to go to the fleet,
Ah.
and you can't get to the fleet.
I
level
remember
1.
now, you could get HK, but he wouldn't have any gear because his gear was set to level 50, because I did that one time and it broke.
Still badass running around Tython with a giant robot following you.
So that I'm looking forward to trying that. I think that's a big hit. I think the whole companion changes are a big hit, and I actually have not gotten my companions back. I don't want to. I like the way the alliance is done. I like the way the companions are done. I like New Lana. She actually is the character I kind of gravitate to because she's the only one left from the old days besides Theron. But I don't like Theron much. I like alliances. If any of you guys played World of Warcraft during Cataclysm when they had the Firelands content, there was this tree, and it was a daily zone where as you did more dailies and turn stuff in, your tree would get bigger and have more oomph to it.
Right, and you had your own special tree.
And you get your own special tree. The thing was the dailies were boring, and the daily zone was difficult, and it was a pain in the butt.
Right, yeah, I had a shitty,
Hmm?
ugly tree because I never really wanted to do it because it just wasn't enjoyable.
Never want to do the tree. See?
Nope.
Because it really isn't. I love how they've got that the heroics. These heroics now that you can just zip right to and zip back from, and poof, you can make your alliance really powerful. And level 10, you get at level 10 you get perks that you can use in the Star Fortress Flashpoint. They're little side rooms, and each of those side rooms has a little treasure from one of the 4 alliance leaders. And if you're level 10 influence with them, you can use it, and they really help if you're going, especially if you're doing a solo. So using the heroics, using the travel in Knights of Empire is tremendous. You don't have to fly anywhere. You can press a button and go to anybody. I want to get back to the new hub planet. Okay, I open my my companion screen, go down to one of those 4 generals and click the button that says go to this person, and poof, I'm in that room. So the heroics got the new travels, the back and forth is just really, really easy. So there's a lot of hits. The replayability is the miss in Knights of the Fallen Empire, and let's just be honest, we've all said it. I want to do heroics to my heart's content, but there's only so many others I want to do, and that's the real content I keep coming back to right now because I haven't finished it. When I finish it, then what am I going to do? On a nice note, though, every time you finish one of those heroics, you get a box, and the box you turn in, of course, for influence. You get gear, a level of orange gear, in those boxes. So I have a ton of gear building up in my legacy bank, the good stuff. I get rid of the crap because I'm making new looks now for all my characters, and it's like, oh, I want to have this, I want to have that, so that's been a lot of fun too. So there's been a lot of good things. I'm wondering what the replayability is going to be like. The worst case scenario, we have a few months. Actually, we don't have too many months. This is November. Should be something coming out in January, right?
After the holidays and after the movie, we don't know if that means January, February, March.
I think
next
they
At
December.
some point, they said January.
I think they said mid-January. I'm like 90% sure that was said at some point, but I mean,
That'd
it's
be
BioWare
awesome,
trademarked soon.
But
Yeah, exactly. They did say January, though, because they have 6 more chapters. They expect to be done by June for Season 2 to start in, I think there's a break, and I think Season 2 starts in October, I think. Because they talked about the story being done in June for Season 1. So, with that, we go from the new and back to the old. So, we've besides the fact that we've been a year doing the Hopecast, the Star Wars Hopecast, that is, many of us have played SWTOR since beta. Now, that would not be me.
Woo!
I played for probably about 3 months before I joined Remnants of Hope, just because I couldn't get into anything, and then it was like, oh. So, what we're going to do, what I've asked everyone to do, is to think of their favorite moment in their entire time in Star Wars, The Old Republic, and kind of share with us why it was their favorite moment, what kind of brought that to their mind, and why it was important. So, for this particular one, I am going to start with Aravail. Why don't you start us off?
All right, so this is actually an easy question for me, because in one of my strongholds, in my character's office, he has on his wall 3 trophy pictures of my 3 favorite boss clears in the entire game. And they were Nightmare Kefis, the Nightmare Dread Guards, and Nightmare Draxus. And of those 3, I think my favorite would probably be Nightmare Kefis, the first time we cleared Explosive Conflict on the hardest difficulty, because we spent probably at least a month, probably closer to like 2 months, and like every week, like 6 hours a night, like 3 nights a week, we would all be in there trying to do that one fight over and over again until we had it like perfectly choreographed phase after phase after phase. And I remember the night we'd been up all night and we finally cleared it, and it just felt so good to finally see that boss die after all that time. So that's my favorite moment so far in SWTOR.
Awesome. So you're actually feeling kind of the pain with not having any operations because you like the challenging content, the struggle and the success.
From what I hear, or I haven't heard too many people doing the nightmare mode so far, but the ones I've heard from say that it actually is fairly difficult. So I don't know if it'll be easier once we have better gear, but I'm looking forward to at least giving them a try and seeing if it is actually challenging.
Awesome. Well, with that, Laurie, what has been your favorite moment playing Star Wars Old Republic?
You know, I've had so many of them. Honestly, I don't know, it's really hard to pick my favorite one, but I think, like, my biggest one that I really like, and you're gonna hear the TARDIS in the background, I'm sorry. I think my biggest moment that really sticks with me is when the first time I actually really got to run operations. And it was just so much fun because I had never done it before, and I think it was Saya and another guy from our guild that were like, hey, you're gonna go and you're gonna do ops, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so I'll go. And so I ended up going with them, and I think we did like 3 or 4. And it ended up being so fun because I was scared that it was going to be like this thing where if I don't do good enough, they're not going to want me to come back anymore. But what ended up happening was Saya, I think it was one of the guys in the guild first when we did one of the runs. Made me fall to the bridge boss. They were like, if you look up there in the sky, you're gonna see the Millennium Falcon.
It totally wasn't
so
someone in this Hopecast, by the way.
Walk a little further, a little further, a little further, and you'll trip it. And I was like, oh, and then I fell into the hole. And then the next stop we did is like the trench run one where you have to do like the maze at the end of the trench and there's like blast shields on either side of the trench. And I know this one was Saya. I remember this specifically because Saya was like, Laurie,
look out the window for a cutscene.
Also weren't people
go look
in
at
this
the blast
podcast
shield.
doing
It's
this.
gonna trigger a cutscene.
We killed her like 3 times
So I go to this
that night.
blast shield and boom, I explode.
We killed her like
everywhere.
3 times on that, and we got her to jump in the Rancor
Like,
too. Not the Rancor, the Sarlacc
killing
pit.
me.
She jumped in the Sarlacc pit too.
Hey, get the title if you go in there.
We're awful.
Not that pit.
We are awful people.
But I'm glad to see that a whole new world of content kind of opened up for you, and that you are a good sport about the little trials and tribulations that come to new players to operations.
It's
You
guild
have to
tradition
be with
at this
this
point.
guild.
If it's someone's first time
You
in
have
any
to
of
be
those
with
ops,
this guild.
it's guild tradition.
Definitely. Because then we took Shurko,
Right, and
and
then we-
I got to do it to Shurko,
Exactly.
and it was awesome.
There we go.
'cause It was
Goes
like
around,
my
comes
little,
around.
Right, exactly.
it was my valid little payback that I got to kill
Right.
Shurko.
And I mean, we had a list at one point. I mean, there's probably been 25 of us who have died to the bridge boss. I mean, I did it one time.
If I had $5 for every person we killed trolling in raids, I would have enough to buy the $180 collector's edition.
Jump when the frog boss jumps. Everybody jump.
Oh, that one.
Jump.
They had
Oh, you didn't
Oh my
jump
god,
fast
I forgot
enough.
about that one too.
The made-up mechanic.
And then the healer would not heal the one who didn't jump. So
I'm not gonna
oh,
lie.
no.
For like the first month we were running TFB, because you guys had run it a bunch before I started raiding again, before I got in progression again, I thought there was an actual mechanic. Like, I'm not even gonna lie about that. Like, you guys had gotten me 3 or 4 times, and I thought it was like actually a mechanic on that mini boss.
Well done, raid leaders. Well done. You get more credit
Because it was
than you
almost like
deserve.
Aravail and John and like all of them that were running it with me, because I was trying to gear up for progression, and it was ugly.
So, all right, well, and that's just good content. So, Colt, since you've been playing SWTOR, what has been your favorite moment?
Mine actually took place during beta, which I guess is kind of weird, but kind of not. I started out as a smuggler, and getting my ship for the first time on Coruscant, and just seeing that cutscene where you get your ship, and I mean, come on, it's the Millennium Falcon, and you get your ship for the first time, and the galaxy map just opens up to you, and it was just this moment of like, oh my god, I'm playing like a Star Wars game where just the whole galaxy is open to me. And it was, I mean, for someone who grew up with Star Wars and has grown up being a huge fan of the series, it was just like a really sort of mind-blowing moment. I mean, games like KOTOR haven't really had like an open galaxy. You had like 4 or 5 planets and it was pretty linear. And I mean, while Tor is also linear, you could see all these planets and actually fly to them. And I mean, obviously you couldn't quest to them or anything until you were leveled, but just seeing that whole galaxy open up for the first time was, I mean, that was a moment that stuck with me for, I mean, we're over 3 years now. And definitely my favorite moment playing.
Nice. It's the whole universe being yours. And getting your ship technically back for the smuggler story.
Right. I mean, come on, my favorite character is Han, and I'm a smuggler at heart, so having my starship is the most important thing in my life.
Exactly. That's fair enough. Saya, what about you? What's your big time moment from your history in SWTOR?
L'Ariel's favorite moment was the first time that she started doing operations with us, and you can't do that till quite a while into the game. And I had a similar moment a lot earlier in the game where I realized I could actually play Star Wars with other people. I joined a guild long before the game actually came out, and I got to know them and daydream with them over forums and text chat, and we started to be able to roleplay over text chat, and I could kind of be my character that way, and that was pretty cool. But once the game came out, because of the way the class stories work and because there was no level syncing, I just ended up playing by myself for almost a month, just trying to catch up to everyone who was already 50. And all of a sudden I got to Terrace, and some of my guildmates were trying to get the Datacron, and we all went on voice, and they were on their smugglers and their troopers and their Jedi, and I was on my super awesome trooper lady, and we spent almost an hour and a half just trying to get this Datacron on Terrace, this world that is the remaining remnants of a world from the game that we all loved playing way back when. It was just absolutely blew my mind. It was amazing to be able to play with other people, just Star Wars. We were the characters. We were the trooper and the smuggler and the Jedi trying to go get that Datacron. Actually having to work together to try and get it was just phenomenal, and I will never forget that.
Nice. And group content is a way to go, actually, for this game.
It's moments like that that made me kind of regret rushing. I mean, I think, the second smuggler to hit 50 on Jugma at launch, because I basically played for 2 days straight at launch, and I had played in beta, so I kind of cheated and knew where I was going on the smuggler. But I mean, I didn't really take it slow, which maybe is kind of sad because I missed out on those like exciting moments like Saya had at launch. But
yep. And as for me, I'm a newbie, actually, compared to a lot of these people in Star Wars: Old Republic. When it first came out, I had just come off of World of Warcraft, and I still was one of those people who was like, I don't want to pay $15 a month to play a game. And I finally got on board, and there's actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit, there's actually 2 moments, a single-player moment and a group moment. I started as a consular, because at the time, and a lot of the stuff from early days is because I had a friend who did this, so I had a friend who played a Shadow. He's like, you would love a Shadow. It's real good. And I did. And I played the consular. And there's a point in that story where you become a Jedi Master. And that whole ceremony is so epic that I literally got chill bumps and had a little tear down my eye because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a Jedi Master. And it was really, really neat. And that was before my time in Remnants. Being in the guild, my best moment has been my first operation. Again, I come from World of Warcraft. I'm casual. that's why I'm good as a host, because I always ask the questions that you who are listening probably want to ask too, but you can't ask. So I know nothing, Jon Snow. So I just ask questions. So, my first operation, I'd come from World of Warcraft, and I had a lot of rough rated experiences because I'm casual. I don't know a lot, and I don't like to watch videos because I'm bad.
You're standing in the fire! Get out of the fire!
Well, you should stand in the fire, to be fair.
You sound like my car's GPS. You're standing in the fire.
Please move
Please
out.
move.
You get that message a lot. You are driving in the fire.
Yes, that's what my GPS says all the time. Please.
I hope not.
Please leave the fire. So I was really scared to do ops. I had been in the guild for a little while. I only had one level 50 at the time, or 55 actually at the time. And I was invited to do Terra from Beyond because it was like they're trying to fill gaps, and I had never done it. And Sai was actually leading the op. And it was like, come on, you'll be fine. And I just remember the whole thing is like, it was like the most pleasant experience because, like, okay, so for this boss, we're going to take. Let's see. I remember the color boss was my favorite because the description was so.
How is the
funny.
color boss your favorite? That's the worst thing.
I love the
Why-
color boss.
The description for that boss is ridiculous. It doesn't
Why
make
did
any
was-
sense in my
Wiping
head
out
every
Op
time I
9
explain
over and over
it.
again, trying to clear hard mode. Oh,
But
He not talking about hard food. He's
story
talking about his
mode, my
first raid
boss
ever.
And so, but no, here's what made it funny. Okay, so we're all going to pair for these colors, and so here's a weird part, but it's okay. One of you, Varigan, you're the DPS, so you're going to stay in the circle, and you're not going to move. Ever. You must stay in the circle for the whole time. I don't remember who my paddle buddy was, but it was like, and your partner, who was the healer at the time, I don't remember who it was, is going to push the button. If you step out of the circle, you won't be able to push the button, and then we can't finish the operation. I was like,
I'm blushing so hard. That's exactly how I sound when I'm
it is
teaching.
though. It really is.
but it was so epic because it was so like nice and like just patient. I was like, oh, so I have to stay in the circle. But what if someone comes up and tries to attack? I can't get out of the circle to say, oh, okay, I better stay in the circle then. It was really neat. I had a lot of fun, and that's still my favorite operation. Terra from Beyond is still my favorite operation. I love the artwork. I love the way it works, and I think a lot of that's because it was just a great first impression for me. So, that was just what it was. So, from there,
Well, you cheated, so you have to give me a chance to do my favorite group moment.
I
Because
know,
you did
right?
too.
all right, fair,
Oh,
and
no.
You
you're
did
right.
too.
You're right.
You did
So
too.
I did cheat because, in essence, when I think of my favorite thing, it's my first group thing is my first operation in TFB.
Right.
But to be fair, there's nothing like being
Right.
named Master
No.
Jedi Master in that music. So
Right.
you're fair, Colt.
My favorite,
Since you said it first.
my favorite group moment was for the first 6 months of the game, give or take. I was playing on a potato, and my computer simply couldn't handle the jumping mechanics of the SOA boss because I would hit lag spikes when the platforms were falling. And I had been in groups that had cleared SOA a couple times, but I'd never actually been able to participate in the final clear just because my computer couldn't handle it. So about 6 months in, I got a new computer, and my first time clearing EV and actually participating in it when it was like right after I joined Remnants. And Soa's still one of my favorite bosses just because I love sort of how epic his quotes are and the music and jumping down the platforms and dropping the pillar on him. I just really like that whole boss fight. So my favorite group moment was my first successful, I'll call it, successful clear of Soa when I actually stayed alive until the end.
Are you not going to do the quote?
No.
Korriban.
My Korriban was my cradle. I have waited 20,000 years and I will wait no longer. You mean that quote?
That quote.
That's
I'm just so used to it. Laurie, you had a group moment?
I do, and Saya's probably going to remember this because it was epic. It was like, I think a week or two after I had joined the guild, and it was a Gree event. Do you remember this, Saya? They were all doing stuff
it when
on
you
Gree.
were-
I was
you
like
were
level
max level
25.
yet?
I was like level 25. And Saya and Lori and like a couple other people were like, come on, Lori, you can come with. It'll buff you and we can take you. And I'm like, okay, fine. Well, then we get there and find out it doesn't buff me. And I'm like level
Lariel,
25.
didn't you die 50 million times?
Oh my god. I did, and you guys had me in a group with, I don't even remember who you had me in a group with at first. I think it was Raiden or something, and him and I actually ended up getting to be really good friends after this. But he got so upset because I kept dying every second and a half. And so
Yeah, it was about
finally
right.
he dropped me out of his group and just left me there to die. And so,
I remember watching Guild Chat at the time, and all I could say is, "Oh my god, I died again! Ah, please don't press me again!
I'm
Oh, I died again!"
nobody anymore. It's Laurie. And it was so funny because then it was so funny because I just kept dying, and then finally Loriana comes back, and he's like, "Okay, Laurie, we're gonna put you on follow, and you're gonna come with me, and we're gonna do this now." And I think I ended up finally getting with everybody and doing whatever, but it was the funniest time ever because all you could hear in TeamSpeak is, "Gosh darn it, Laurie died again! Oh my gosh, how do you die to a tauntaun? How do you die to this?"
How do you die to a tauntaun? Well, we could say a lot about that. Any other reminiscence that anyone wants to bring forward?
I was trying to think if I had a really memorable solo moment, but it's just the whole idea of being able to play one of the classic Star Wars tropes and really have that character feel like yours. So I played a lot of the Star Wars games when I was younger, and it was amazing to be Kyle Katarn or be Obi-Wan Kenobi or whoever else, but they were never my character.
Right.
Sorry, I've got a cough here.
I actually do have a solo moment. I was thinking as you
What?
guys were talking, and I came up with one. I remember when I was, whatever level you are when you're on Nar Shaddaa, 20-something, and I was walking around, and it was one of the holocrons, or the datacrons, but I think I actually stumbled onto it, by total accident, the beginning of the puzzle. I'm like, oh, I can jump on these crates, and then I can get onto this other crate, and then I can jump onto the rooftop, and it ended up being a really hard jumping puzzle, which, as you guys all know, are my bane and my weakness. So I spent my entire afternoon on this. I just stopped leveling. I stopped doing everything I was doing to do this datacron, and it took me hours to do it. But I finally got it, and it was a cunning datacron at the end of it too. But I didn't even care at that point. I was I made it to this point. I was so proud of myself for just persevering and finally making it there.
That's one of the things that actually bums me out about in Coffee. Whoever was spending time creating the areas, adding NPCs and adding random speeders and stuff and making them look nice, they did a really good job making all these little random areas you could wander into that almost had their own scenes going on in them with the NPCs, but there was nothing to actually find. There was no hidden datacrons, no special anything once you actually got there.
Yeah.
Just nada.
I noticed that too. You go over across this one area and you look down through the floor and there's an arena pit with people fighting down there.
You're like, oh, I need to get down there.
Awesome. I'm like, oh, is that part of the quest? And it's not. It's just this random area with this monster fighting a dude, and it's
I heard
awesome.
that's something that might be coming in the future.
Possibly.
Yeah, they
I
kind
could
of
see that.
hinted at those
Can't get there
arena
yet.
fights being kind of important, but they kind of glossed over
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Who knows? But and the nice thing, I will say this: the nice thing is that there's so much of the game that really just looked amazing. It was always fun to find something new. And I like what they've done with the level sync, that you can stick around on a planet if you really want to and kind of fiddle with it. And you're still getting something out of it if you're not max level. You're still getting something of value. And I kind of like that.
Oh, you guys all played KOTOR, right? How did you feel the first time you went to Terrace?
Oh, wow. Actually, I played KOTOR again after doing SWTOR so I could kind of get that refresher. It was yep, this seems like what would happen after a bombardment from space.
Yeah, I did too. Well, the big one for me was
Feeling the ebb and
it wasn't Terra so much as Manon. When we got there, the music starts playing. It was oh my god, Manon! That music was stuck in my head for years after I played that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this is where I helped. What's Jolie's friend? This is where I did the other thing. It was
This is where I died 5 times. I had to reset my file.
where I lost the arbitration trial. Yeah. Your Honor, my client is mentally incompetent, unable to form complex thoughts.
Bzzz.
Oh, good times.
Those were good stories. And if you have not played Knights of the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic 2, although Knights of the Republic 2 is a good game, but it's a different kind of vein.
Right.
Take a moment and watch them. They're fun. They're usually on sale, especially with Star Wars.
$2.
Star Wars coming out.
They're
everybody's Star Wars
they're
going
dirt cheap on Steam, and you can get the mod that fixes
You can play them on an
right, and you can get the
iPad.
mod that fixes the ending on Steam, which is really really makes the game so much better.
For KOTOR 2, yeah.
Yeah. So
no excuses. Go play.
exactly, no excuses.
You can do it mobily too, and a phone game. So from here, let's get to our Galactic Gossip. And normally Galactic Gossip is a guest topic or something we want to do with the episode. Where today we're looking at the character development of Star Wars: Old Republic and the power of a character in a story. Now, originally this started off as think of your favorite character in SWTOR for the past year, but I decided to kind of take this a different format. We're doing a round table. And so I'm going to warn you, the listener, right now, that if it has been revealed from Shadow of Revan backwards, if it's class story, planetary story, Makeb, or Revan, we're going to talk about it. So if you do not want to spoil, to include Zayast, if you do not want a spoiler about a character up to that point, you might want to skip ahead about 10 minutes. We will not be spoiling anything from Knights of the Fallen Empire at all. We may mention a character, but we will not be mentioning what happened to them or anything about them beyond like, hey, I like so-and-so. But we will probably speak in depth about some of the characters in the previous content. So keep that in mind. If you don't want to be spoiled. So just to be saying, before we go, Laurie, so you're going to have to leave us here.
Yes.
Did you just want to give a quick blip about your favorite character in SWTOR?
My favorite character in SWTOR? My absolute favorite character, I think, is honestly Theron. And that's not just because he's cute. I just like his story with him being Satil's son and everything.
That's such a complex background.
He does. But on that note, I've got to run. Thank you, everyone. It's been a lot of fun.
Bye, Laurie.
Thank you for joining us, Laurie.
Good luck.
All right. And Theron has a really cool backstory with the his mother being Satil Shan. Father is what's his name? Oh,
Jace Malcolm. Trooper
guy. They had that storyline where they kind of
like, we're two
Which you don't know
lovers
unless you read the
for
books.
one another. We made a baby in a
Right,
tent.
they never.
and then
Someone read the books. Someone read the books. Her name
But
is
I love
Saya.
the fact, if you remember, like after Revan came out, they had that story. They posted a story, I think Courtney did, about Theron and his father meeting together and just trying to have like a father-son dinner, and it was like really awkward.
Oh, I remember that. It was so awkward.
It's like awkward. So let me actually give you one of my characters that I really enjoy, and actually I did not really appreciate this character as much until we got to Coffee, but this character's been with me from the very beginning, and it is 2VR8. And you're saying to yourself,
Are you talking about the Imperial ship droid?
Ship droid.
Shut up!
And
Get
let-
out!
you
I'm done. Goodbye.
Please don't
I'm
deactivate
exiting
me now.
this
And
conversation.
I'm not saying it's my favorite character, but it's a memorable character to me, and let me tell you why. He's not C2N2. He
It's a low bar.
He has a point there.
he creates an atmosphere that you're still a feared person. He actually is very much... C2N2 to me is annoying because he's so trying to be helpful that he just literally drives you up the wall. 2VR8 is different, and with 2VR8, that actually extended into another droid. On Drummond Cos, is it Drummond Cos? Might be. There's a story quest where you have to go and disable some cannons that shoot fire and hurt people, and there's a droid that has the ability to control all that stuff. And you have a choice. And the droid's like, please erase all this data. I hate for humans, living sentients to kill other living sentients. And the light side choice is, go ahead and delete the data. The dark side choice is, no, you're working for me, and we're going to go ahead and just make this big. His plea to just like, I don't want to hurt other sentients. I really don't like doing this kind of stuff. And then 2VR8 kind of echoing that line of droids I find very appealing. That they're kind of like the normal citizens of the Empire, where they're like, I don't want to be, oppressing people. I just want to live a life and be ordered and be happy. And so that's kind of where 2VR8 and that group kind of fall for me. What about you? What do you guys run to? What kind of characters kind of tug at you and give you that feeling of remembrance for some reason?
And then there's the HK models, which are the exact opposite and like to destroy the citizens of the Empire with extreme prejudice.
Or Republic.
Always, and with no prejudice.
HK51 loves being with my agent.
Someone who really tugged at my heartstrings was Nadia. So spoilers about the consular story later in the story. Shh, cover your ears. She comes from a planet where she's not in charge of it yet, but she knows someday in the future she will be. And all of a sudden, her father dies, and some of her family dies, and she's in charge. And there's a lot of bad stuff going on in her life, and bonus points, she finds out she's force sensitive, and it's just so sad. You just want to give her a hug and like take care of her. And awkwardly, if you're a male character, you can also have some babies with her, but you know.
If you give her some time, give her some
The
time.
creepiest romance ever. Oh.
It really is.
But at the time, I felt so bad for her,
Yeah.
and I wanted to help her, and she's some pixels on a screen, voice acted by
You
a real
just feel
person.
her heartbreak, yeah. It's one that's way better on a female than a male, just because the male one is squick.
But you don't have to romance her if you're male. But you got
Yeah,
to.
well,
You got
she's
to.
your
space bar and don't read the
right.
options too quickly.
Well, that's Aravail
I found out
being
the
a
hard
noob.
way.
That's Aravail being a noob.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like spacebarring things that I see, like, oh, I care about you. I'm like, sure, Snipedo, I care about you. Next thing I know, we're married. It's like,
Yeah, he pulls the ring out and he's
I
like,
care
oh,
about
oh.
yeah, I missed that whole
So,
vibe.
since I didn't know I could use my favorite character for this, I had to kind of think about this in a much deeper way. So, one of the issues with a lot of the Star Wars narratives is that the Empire is all filled with, like, evil, like, proto-Nazi types.
I want to murder your babies while you're sleeping and eat them in my
And-
cereal. I am
And
a
the
Sith.
Republic is always, like,
cereal?
perfect, like, the perfect people, like, oh, like, the prototypical, like, Superman, like, truth, justice, in the American way routine. And
I am a Jedi, and I will save your babies and not put them in a cereal and then kiss them upon the brow.
Because I hear on Drum and Cost they sell oats and babies.
right. And one thing that this game does phenomenally well is blends sort of the good versus evil of both sides and makes it clear that they're at war and there's good people on both sides and bad people on both sides. And so the four characters, two on each side, I kind of chose for this concept were, for the Empire, Darth Mar and Keeper, the original Keeper from the first half of the Ages story. Darth Mar is my all-time favorite NPC in SWTOR. I mean, he's a Sith and he's ruthless, but he's also extremely cunning. And it's very clear that he cares about the Empire, and he's not that Sith who's out for himself. He believes in the code, he believes in honor, he believes in justice, and the conversations he has in the later parts of the game with especially the light side Inquisitor make it clear just how intelligent he is and how he's sort of planning for the Empire's future after his death.
And one of the really cool things about him is that he's not like a Jedi working for the bad guys. He's still very much Imperial and very much a Sith, no matter how much he is doing to help the Empire. He's still technically a bad guy in every way.
And Keeper is the same way in that he's working for the Empire and he sanctions the Imperial agent doing some questionable things. But at the same time, he believes in helping his people. He's completely sort of upfront about his duty and his opinion on how sort of the Sith are extremely inept and that Imperial intelligence has to sort of clean up the mess are something that I find really interesting, because a lot of the time the Star Wars narrative says, oh, the Force users can do everything, like the Force users are so powerful, they're so wise, and to have sort of this character bring up, yeah, well, the Force users also have problems with keeping everything under control because they are so concerned with their wars and their incredible power, and it's left to Imperial intelligence to sort of do the dirty work and actually keep the Empire running, is sort of another facet of the story that really is never really brought up in sort of the greater Star Wars narrative in either the movies or the EU. And then the flip side, of course, is having some people who work for the Republic that are not exactly good people.
They bad guys. Oh my god, the whole Trooper story focuses on corruption in the military.
I was about to bring up Garza. Saya knew exactly where I was going with that. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
Garza would be a character that a lot of people would really like if she was Imperial, as sort of like a troop master, because she's cunning, she's ruthless, and she is willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And I know a lot of people who played troopers and are more light side minded that really were sort of disgusted by the way she approached things, but I really liked it because it kind of makes you remember that we're at war here, and there's these two factions, and both sides are willing to do whatever it takes to win this war. And even though there's the Jedi Council, and a lot of them are very good and very light and very just, you also have these people on the Republic. You have Garza, and you have Supreme Chancellor Suresh, that are willing to get their hands dirty. And so for me, that's sort of my answer to this question, in that you have some very sort of almost good people working for the Empire, and some very questionable people working for the Empire. I mean, for the Republic, sorry. That sort of make it less than black and white, and definitely bring in the sort of gray elements to the story, which I think just adds to the entire narrative as a whole.
Yeah, it creates more of a balance, because that is the way of things. It's not, everyone's not all happy-go-lucky, and everyone's not all sad and depressive in the Sith side. Aravail, what about you, man?
Well, see, I sort of approached this question with a little bit of an atypical answer that I didn't actually come up with until just today, but it's not necessarily my favorite character. One of the ones I find the most interesting, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen with him as the game goes on, is actually Vishit, the Sith Emperor, because as you think about the entire era of SWTOR and KOTOR and everything that relates to both games, he's really been kind of the arch nemesis throughout this entire, not just this game, but this entire series and this entire era, since he was the impetus for the Mandalorian Wars, he was behind Revan and Malak, he was behind pretty much every major war and terrible thing that's happened since like the Great Hyperspace Wars. So this idea that for 1,000 years he's been building the Sith Empire, and now war has broken out. It's an interesting character that we're facing the ultimate evil of the galaxy for the past millennia, and now he's finally shown himself and finally made known who he is, and to some degree at least what his plans are.
And that is, as we all know, subject to change. There's a lot of story coming out with that, and so that's definitely a weird twist. But I didn't even think about the fact that he had a hand in all that beginning part, and it's true, we all know the lore.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's thousands of years old, or like 8,000 years old, something like
Roughly.
that. He's
Probably a
been
little
around
older,
for
yeah.
Oh, we're talking about
If you read some
time.
backstory
Vishit,
too
yeah.
about how he Vishit,
Vishit.
how he consumed like a whole planet of life to get all the power to become immortal. Now he can
He ate all the cereal babies.
Exactly. And that gave him great power apparently. And so now he goes between body to body, and he's all these different voices you meet throughout the various class storylines, and it really kind of unfolds. At the beginning of the game, he's just like this unknown force, this emperor who you never even
He's
his
the
lore,
emperor.
his lore
Nobody
is
even
a
sees
statues
absurd,
you
though.
see.
I mean, he his father was a Sith, and Vitiate force choked him to death when he was 6, and by 13 he was the lord of his entire planet. It's like, come on. But
is a Sith prodigy of some
Right.
sort, and yet he was never
And
involved
then
in the
everyone
power
on-
struggle somehow.
In Zakul, everyone's like, he's not so bad. He took care of us. He's so nice. I love him. I want to marry
Oh,
him.
God.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, he force choked his dad when he was 6, and he
ate
destroyed
the entire
a couple
planet of
planets.
yeah, he
Yes,
ate a planet when he was 20.
yeah, actually, so what was the first planet that Revan visited that was like dead? What was the planet?
Malachor?
Was it Malachor?
Yeah, it was
Malachor
Malachor
5?
5, yeah.
Was that the first planet that Vitiate took?
That wasn't.
What was
I don't know if that was Vitiate. That was a super weapon I think that he made, or
Yeah.
that Bayodur made to crash the Mandalorians or something.
There was, in the story, when we first meet the Emperor, and Revan goes to a planet that has no force on it. It's so dead it's got no force.
Oh, where the Mira Luca come
I'm
from,
not sure if
right?
that's where it is. I can't remember.
Qatar.
It's the planet that he did the ritual on with he had all of the Sith Lords. If you remember, he was in
Oh,
charge.
that's a different planet. I think I can look it up real quick.
Yeah,
I
I'm
kinda
blanking
wanna
on
know.
it. I'm blanking on it.
I think they made up a planet.
I know
for
which
that.
planet you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called. It's just a random planet.
So
Nathema. That's what it
So
was.
he's
Nathema.
actually got
Nathema was the name
Yes.
of the planet.
Yeah, there you go,
Mhm.
Nathema.
and it was so bad that when Revan stepped on the planet, he was sick because it was not only dead. Like, I was wondering with Ziost if we'd have that same reaction, because it looks like he did the exact same thing. This ritual that just goes.
Even when you go to Ziost after you finish the story, you can find the husks of dead bodies as part of the
Yeah.
daily area.
Yep, that's kind of morbid. It's so and was so cool. Did you notice, by the way, that Ziost did not have background music when you went back the second time?
It's
It
just
was
dead.
just-
I
it was
noticed that.
spooky.
Yeah, it was
Spooky
weird.
silent.
And the guy who
It,
used to be
like-
playing golf is dead too, which made me sad.
Well, yes.
He was just trying to play. He was just trying to finish his round, and then the Emperor killed, and that was pretty cold.
And then your planet gets eaten.
He was destined for the dark ritual, not the powerful.
Why you'd be on a planet while there's like a bunch of zombies roaming around. Excuse me, I'm just gonna play through here.
It's probably
It's
a
like
really.
Bill-
Probably having a really good
It
game
might be a
too.
really nice
trooper.
course. I don't know. I don't judge.
Lots of sand
exactly.
traps.
Yeah.
So, Saya, what? Did we get you already? No, we didn't.
I talked about
Oh
Nadia.
yeah, Nadia. Oh yeah. Oh, you did. You talked about Nadia and
But my favorite character, definitely hands down, has to be M14X, the hero of the Republic.
Oh my God, yes.
And if you've never played the Trooper, you will get a downright kick out of him. He's very incredibly patriotic, and he's a droid, and he has all these incredible stories about saving heads of state and assassinating heads of state, and heroically jumping out the window as the American flag waves behind him.
Truth, justice,
the
and the
Republic
Republican
flag.
way.
And
I call him Captain America droid just
He
because.
is.
And I don't. One of our guildmates, Anson, he understood my love for M14X, and we would banter back and forth, pretending to be M1 on our voice chat sometimes. And he wrote me an entire fan fiction as M14.
Wait, what?
Gotta read
I
that.
need to
Just
see
another like story. Just a story, as if much like the companion conversations about what M14X
this.
would do.
Let's be real
that's
here.
awesome.
The best companion of all is Risha. I mean, that's just an obvious point that
I-
I have to make.
I loved her story. I didn't like her at first. When I first got her on my smuggler, I was like, she's just the smuggler lady, someone who likes a smuggler would like. And then you start getting into her backstory and her family situation. And you're like, holy cow, there's a really huge story here to watch and listen to and even really interact with. You have a lot more choices with her on intervening in her life than you do, or rather suggesting to intervene on her life than any of the other
I
companions,
mean,
I think.
the romance at the end just sort of settles it if you're male, where she's like courting that noble, and your line is just like, well, I'm me. And she looks at the guy and was like, sorry, I can't argue with that. I was like, yes. It was like such a Han Solo moment.
I told him, go do your thing, girl. And then I had her on the side and we were like, we never have to tell him, haha.
Wow. See, I'm honest and upfront. I'm not like you, who wants to take some guy on the side.
My smuggler's not light side.
Mine isn't either, and you know that, but...
Hey.
Well, and so with that, I have to say that the best thing about the game overall is the voice acting. I think it does create a lot of atmosphere that even droids have tug at heartstrings. You know, you're talking about Nadia and how, you know, she's pixels on a screen with a person doing a voice who just makes you feel bad for her when her family's dead, and you know, and Risha has this great backstory, and 2VR8 is like stinking Captain America, and just that the up tempo of his entire, I swear, for a droid, I would imagine him just puffing his little chest out. Not little, he's a big droid, but you know, it's just that voice acting actually makes a lot of what Star Wars: The Old Republic is.
It
there's-
does.
I mean,
there's the,
oh my goodness,
There's
it
definitely
does.
something
Did you get
for
the butler
everyone.
customization?
Oh
for
my
him,
god,
Jurgen?
yes, I have it.
No, but
I have it.
Too
It's so
good.
fun.
I like the Target
But
dummy
yeah.
where
one.
does that come from?
One of the packs. I
Yeah,
think.
it's one of the
Oh my
packs.
gosh.
I think it's probably fairly cheap on the GTN because it was a common drop. I mean, I might.
Yeah, you should
I
check.
might have.
I can see
yeah,
if I have
can,
one.
I can look too
Well,
later.
remember, I don't PvP, so I haven't unlocked him yet in the alliance.
Oof.
I have to do that.
Well, no, that
PvP.
no, that's not
really
that's
well.
not C2. That's not C2.
Oh, C2N2.
Yeah,
I was talking about M1.
Oh, I thought you meant.
No, M1 C2 N2.
Oh, I thought you-
yeah,
I'm thinking of the
C2
Imperial
and-
ship
Yeah,
droid.
the ship
2V.
droids have a butler costume.
Oh, I've got to get that for
but
2V.
One thing,
2VR8.
yeah, one thing I really find impressive about all the companions is really there's something for everyone. I mean, there's probably only 2 companions in the whole game from vanilla out of 5 times 8 is 40 that really nobody liked, and that's Skadge
Skadge.
and Brun. Skadge and
Skadge.
Brunmark are really probably the only 2.
Ooh, what about Quinn?
Yeah, but I feel you.
Yeah, but
actually
they
like
did-
Quinn. I
there's-
actually
that's a
like
different
Quinn
kind of
as
dislike.
as a companion. I like Quinn and I like his story. I mean, I wish the option from Beta to kill him was still present, but I mean, I liked him as sort of the story was very good, and it definitely showed sort of how much influence Barris has over everything that you're doing, and it's a good plot twist. I mean, you don't see it coming the first time you play through that story. But yeah, the only two companions I feel like that nobody likes are Skadge and Brunemark. So to be 38 out of 40, and for me personally, I really like probably over half the companions in the game, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, and that's about fair actually. And there's a lot of the characters, and I'm not. And we kind of know companions because we see them so often. But then, like, there's all sorts of NPCs. Just like I love when I'm walking through a planet, I actually will stop. But you know how you walk through planets and you hear a conversation go off in the background, and like you'll walk away from it and it'll just pop up a few seconds later. You hear it like you're right next to him. Anyone have that, or is that just me?
Oh, yeah.
No, I've had that too,
No, I
and
have that
and
too.
it's always some silly remark about what's going on, and you kind of laugh, and definitely a good humor. And I mean, as you said, even some of the non-companion NPCs are just phenomenally well done. I mean, I mentioned Mar earlier.
Oteg.
I like the
Oteg.
one on Sakul when you're running away and you're like, oh no, the planet's being attacked, we should get out of here. And there was some people who'd been talking earlier about leaving the planet, and when you walk by the final time trying to escape, they're like, we should have taken that shuttle earlier.
That's
Well,
right.
no,
We
there's
should
no
have gone to
shuttle
Tatooine.
left. We should.
Yeah, the
There's a
asylum
shuttle
guys.
to Hutta. We
Right.
should take the shuttle to Hutta. And like as you're running by, you're laughing because you know they're just gonna get enslaved by the Hutts. Haha.
Wow, Saya, you really are amused by that dark twist.
I didn't have time to stop and tell them.
She's
Sorry.
just laughing because they're about to get enslaved.
You're like, womp,
Look
womp.
at you. Slave collars for you. You kept what's her name's collar on, didn't you? Vet.
That
No
is
problem.
that is literally the only dark side option I have never taken. By the way, I mean, for those of you who played with me, know
Couldn't
that
do it.
I take all the dark side options and I play a lot of Imperials. I could not do it. I tried to do it, and just seeing her sad made me sad, and I immediately escaped out and switched and took her slave collar off all my second.
Them pixels on a
I
screen,
was Dark
man.
5 on that tune. The only light side decision I made the whole game was to take her slave collar off. And I don't regret it, because seeing Vet sad would have made me sad.
Those pixels on the screen.
Those
And
pixels on the
this-
screen.
And the voice acting.
And it really is the story. That story would have made you sad. And that's what SWTOR is.
I've seen that on YouTube, and I was like, I couldn't do that. Like, I've seen people like
Can you
shock her and
imagine?
stuff, and I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Can you imagine reading the stories as a book instead of watching and listening? I wonder what that would be like. Like if it would be as moving. If
I
it
mean, I
was
feel
written
like
well.
has to
yeah,
be
if
written
it was well written and like they did a good job of sort of translating sort of the combat scenes that you have between things to the written word, I feel like they would be pretty good novels, and you would definitely have sort of the same emotional effect, assuming of course they were written well and they translated well to the written word rather than
The combat scenes. Saya, the trooper, presses her one key, and the great Valkorian has fallen.
so.
Hammer shot.
Why
shot.
are you using? Yeah, why are you spamming hammer
Lightning
shot
bolt,
on
lightning bolt.
Valkorian? What are you doing, Saya?
That's all I
It's like
need, baby.
learn to commando rotation. Actually, in your case, learn to vanguard rotation.
Learn the Vanguard. L2P.
We need to bring Raiden in here to teach you how to vanguard. Apparently,
And Raiden will say, okay, Saya, you only really need to hit 3 keys, so we only got 2 more to learn.
oh yeah. Well, you have to unlearn. You have to unlearn hammer shot though. Replace
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
with
yeah.
cell burst.
Anyways.
Replace that with cell burst, and you got it.
So, well, and that is that's a good place I think for us to kind of call it. This year has been a good year for us, and SWTOR has been a good game for us, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon. And I'm hoping this game is going anywhere anytime soon. This expansion has been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping for more things to come across from it. And with that, that is actually going to be it for this episode. I'd like to thank all the people from the guild: Saya, Laurie, Colt, Aravail, Nelchan, who you've heard before, and Kota, who is the one who made the skit, And 2, he's the one who does all those episodes as far as script writing and planning and sound design for Coruscant Courier Service. All these people contribute to make this podcast what it is today, and we all do it just for the fun of it. And I thank every single one of you for taking this little idea of a dream I had long ago and turning it into something fun that we really get a kick out of.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Varian.
Amen. A galaxy far, far away. I just appreciate it. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's nice to be able to actually do it. And I just want to thank you who listen to us and tune into us, even if we're 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out between episodes. You stay subscribed, you listen to our little episodes, and you enjoy it and give us feedback, and I appreciate it. And I hope that you'll join us for the next episodes. We're going to keep going. It's been so much fun for us. I hope it's been fun for you. If you'd like to join us on the Ebon Hawk server, look for our Republic Guild, Remnants of Hope. You can find guild information at remnantsofhope.com and follow the guild on Twitter at ROHSWOTOR. This and other episodes of our podcast can be found at hopecastgamers.com. You can email the show at hopecastgamers@gmail.com and subscribe to us on iTunes. And with that, I'm Vergan.
Awkward.
Well, I was in such a roll. Colt, that was you, you know.
Shoot. And I'm Colt.
Okay, so...
That's what I get for looking at the football scores.
I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this whole thing.
Oh, I hate you.
And I'm Aravail.
And I'm Saya.
Just remember, folks, we are not professionals. We actually just enjoy this for
For
fun.
some,
And
I
until
thought
next
L'Oreal.
time-
I thought L'Oreal was before me in the order and everything, and then I forgot she left.
She was, but she left.
See, that's why I got screwed up because I looked at the
You're
order
gonna still
earlier.
delete her from the
Yeah,
script.
she deleted her, and that screwed it up.
You're waiting for someone who wasn't there anymore.
Yep.
Alright, and until next time, may the Force be with you, and we look forward to being with you in the next year. We will be happy to share our podcast with you, if you will only subscribe. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Later, people.
You have been listening to the Star Wars Hopecast, part of the Remnants of Hope gaming community.